Happy Tuesday, everyone. Today is the final video in my 30-day challenge series these are videos of obstacles I've had to face, and so yeah, this last one I intentionally saved for last because it's a big one for so many of us, and for some of us it prevents us from even getting started because we're afraid of it, and for others it keeps us stuck in this sort of negative feedback loop. And I was about to say none of us are immune to it, but I'm going to suggest that we could build an immunity to it. So failure is the topic today. I know for me, my best way to talk about it, I could talk about different areas I've failed in my life. I think over the last 30 days, I've shared many areas that we could go back and say, yep, that was a failure. That felt like a failure. That felt like a failure. But I think for today, the best thing I can do is just share how it feels for me in my body when I perceive that I have failed in some way. So whether that's regarding my body, nutrition, fitness, or a job or a relationship, doesn't matter. Failure always shows up the same way in my body. And so the first thing I notice is that my stomach feels like I've got a pile of rocks in it. And then my heart kind of follows suit. It sort of like travels up the chain, right? So stomach feels like it's full of rocks. My heart feels like it is bound up in these cords, just completely restricted. And then my mind starts moving 1,000 miles per minute, and it's moving from thought to thought to thought, and all these thoughts kind of revolve around the same thing. They revolve around get out of this, fix this now. There's got to be another way. Keep moving. Do something. Why it's still happening? You've got to get out of this. You've got to save yourself. Fix it now. Fix it yesterday. How could you be so stupid? What's wrong with me? All of those things just start. That's where my brain goes on that loop as fast as it can, until it's exhausted. And then suddenly gridlock. Suddenly it's just gridlocked, and all I feel is constriction. And so my whole body at that point then feels completely bound up, like someone has taken me and stuffed me into one of those wooden crates, like those old crates that you see at the end of like Indiana Jones, where they've stuffed me in this wooden crate and they've just stamped on the outside of it in bright red bold letters, failure. Yeah. That's what it feels like. I don't know if you can relate to that. I don't know how it feels for you, but that's definitely how it feels for me. The problem with this, of course, is that in that state, I become useless. In that state, I have no resources at my disposal. I'm stuck. 100% stuck. And that's a problem. So yesterday, I shared with you my greatest antidote to comparison was clarity, was certainty. But today I want to share with you, if there's anything that my transformation has taught me, is that the antidote to failure is clarity. So clarity around what actions, what step caused the perceived failure, and then clarity around what our next best action is. And I want to emphasize next best action because that place of being stuck, it feels like there are no actions, there are no options, we're just stuck. But friends, it's really important to remember that failure is never final. It is never a final thing. And when we can remember that, then we can start to move to create action and a plan around the failure itself. So by changing my framework around failure and by creating a process for dealing with this, I was able to turn failure into now one of my greatest tools for learning and skyrocketing not only my self-growth, but my journey towards whatever goal that I'm on. And so what this is called is failing your way forward. So failing in that point actually becomes part of your process of transformation. So by this definition, a transformation without failure of some kind along the way you haven't really fully transformed at that point, because you haven't dealt with those obstacles. You haven't been able to overcome them. So failure is very important. It is welcome at my table. If I imagine my transformation as a table that I sit down with all of these tools, failure is absolutely welcome to that party. It's like your awkward uncle that you don't always love to be around, but they're family. They're part of the process. So what does this process for finding clarity look like for me? What I have found, my process for finding clarity involves intentional reflection. So rather than being stuck in that gridlock of or that mantra of get out of this, turn away from this as fast as possible, make it go away, I turn towards it. And I do all of this in writing. So I don't just think through this. I actually sit down and write about this. Your brain will play tricks on you. If you try to process it in your head, you've got to get it out of your head and onto paper so you can see it clearly in front of you. And so the first thing I do is I try to classify, what kind of failure is this? Was this just a simple screw up, something that usually I do great at, but just, oh man, this one time. So for example, in my life, a simple screw up for me would be deciding to eat a bowl of popcorn for dinner. I'm just gonna eat a bowl of popcorn for dinner and that's all. I know that's a screw up. I know that that's not a good choice for me, because if I eat a bowl of popcorn for dinner, right when I'm about to go to bed, I'm going to be starving. And so I'm either going to go to bed very cranky, or I'm just gonna eat more and then end up going off my plan. So I might do that from time to time, but if I do it, immediately I'm like, oh, I know this. I know better than to do this. All right, come on, Sarah, get yourself together, let's go. So that's a simple screw up, or is it a weakness? So for example, a weakness might be, if you put mint chocolate chip ice cream in the refrigerator, I am going to eat it. I just can't say no to mint chocolate chip ice cream. It is my favorite ice cream of all time. I know some of you are gonna say, what, you like eating toothpaste? Judge me if you will. It's my favorite. So if I'm in the process of trying to transform my body, and that's in the freezer, and I just can't say no to it, well, that's a weakness, and that's okay. We all have weaknesses, but I need to ask myself, okay, do I need to fight this weakness and still make sure there's mint chocolate chip ice cream in the freezer, or do I just avoid it? It's probably best if I just avoid it if I'm trying to get to a certain goal within a certain time frame. The final kind of failure that I qualify, so we've got simple screw up that we usually do well in, but for some reason we just had a brain fart, I guess. Second one is a weakness, where maybe we could have gone around it instead of trying to plow straight through it. And then the third one is where the magic is, friends. The third one is a growth opportunity. So that's something that maybe you didn't know about before. Maybe you've never experienced it before. It's a failure. Could you say a failure of omission? It just wasn't in your framework. So for example, the first time I started running my plan, doing this, my eating plan and all this stuff, if I go on vacation and I don't make any plan, I just go on vacation hoping oh man, I hope that everything works out. And then I end up going way off plan, and I come home and I've gained some weight and I feel terrible about myself, and I don't have any food in the refrigerator. When I sit down to process this, that's when I say oh, I discover these insights. Oh, I just went on vacation hoping that there would be food, healthy food there, that I would be able to work with this, but I didn't even think about what that would look like. And then I start to write those insights down. Okay, next time I can plan ahead. Next time I can choose ahead of time. Am I okay if I gain some weight on this vacation? Keeping in mind that, hey, if I'm okay with that, great. And you know what? Maybe I have my refrigerator ready when I get back, that if I do go off plan intentionally, I can get right back on plan intentionally. Then I know moving forward, I've grown at that point. And the next time I go on vacation, I got this. So in this way, we can change our failures into triumphs, into absolute triumphs, and they become our greatest strengths. So the reason I shared this with you, I've shared with you how I work through my framework, but the reason I shared this with you today is I want to invite you to question how you perceive your failures. Do you have more of a growth mindset around them, or do you get stuck like I have done in the past? And even more so, do you have a process for reframing them and learning from them, or do you just kind of sweep them under the rug and hope they go away? I hope you have a process. I hope you discover a process if you haven't had one before now. So thank you so much, friends, for joining me for this final video in my challenge. This has been Sarah's 30-day challenge, our video challenge. And I've really enjoyed connecting with you guys over this. And some of you have reached out to me with your own stories. And I so appreciate it. What I've absolutely learned from this process is that people do connect over pain. And our pain is where our greatest strength lies if we're willing to explore it and reflect on it. And so I've been so inspired by your vulnerability and sharing with me that I'd like to extend an invitation to you now. So I would like to invite you to share your story with me. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to make myself available for 15-minute Zoom calls. And my intention for these calls is to connect with you. So I do offer formal transformation coaching, but that's not what this is. This is a free call. It's a free call. And as I've shared in the past, I believe that our greatest gift that we can offer one another is our attention. And so I'd like to offer mine to you in the form of these calls. And so if you're feeling stuck, or if you'd just like to share your story with me, I would love to provide space for you to verbally process. And if you'd like, I can also ask you questions to help you clarify what your next best action is. Now, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting that I have an answer to whatever challenge you're facing. I know that I cannot offer an answer, but what I can offer is I can hold space for you while you verbally process. So I'll be sharing my a scheduler so that you can schedule a call with me in the next 2 weeks. We'll try it for 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes, and this is open to all members of the gym. So yeah, I'll be sharing that scheduler. Definitely. I hope I hear from you, especially during times like these. I know we're living in a very stressful year. I think connection is the antidote to that as well. So again, thank you for your attention. Definitely, I look forward to speaking with you. I look forward to seeing you at the gym soon, or perhaps online. Bye now.